Coming soon to this theater.
Ugh. I love that dope ass intro. What up, everybody? Hopefully you can hear me. I don't do a lot of surprise streams like this. Usually it's I'm on somebody else's stream, or I do the Tuesday night horror movie club thing, which is scheduled. I want to do more of these off the cuff videos because I just enjoy when other people do them. So. What up, people? Hope you're all doing well, in good spirits. It's which it's difficult to be in these tumultuous times. Oh my god, yeah, it's kind of crazy. The government's very obviously, the ruling class is very obviously trying to foment a civil war, divide and conquer, folks. And I'm not going to get into all that business because one of the things I love about horror movies and comics is it gets me away from that shit. I've had some experiences where I think to myself, like, God, I really should write something about this, or at least like a nonfiction thing, like write an essay or a newspaper article. And then I'm like, no, well, fuck that. No, I want to be hanging out somewhere else. I don't need to relive all the bad shit that's happening. I don't have to relive all the bad shit that happened to me last year, and a lot of bad shit happened to me last year, let me tell you. No. And even like the petty hatreds that we nurse, like hating on SJWs, or the wokerati, or the mainstream comic book industry, is it saying don't sweat the small stuff? Well, that's not sweating the small stuff, but it's in a recreational, should be considered a recreational thing. But I was going through some old papers. I've been going through a lot of old files, finding old notebooks, old short stories, comic books, stuff from way back, like back to my early college days, high school, that sort of thing. And, I could look at some of the early stuff that I wrote and be like, that's not bad, for like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old. I mean, it's still horrible. I would never want anybody to see that crap. But then I look at things I wrote just, 10 years ago, and I'm like, damn, like, oh, I want to throw it into a shredder. No, fuck that. I want to throw it into a wood chipper and then set the wood chipper on fire. But it's helpful to see where you've come from. It's to use your past work as benchmarks by which to measure your growth as an artist. So, I stumbled across something really that proves that I am gifted in some kind of a, I don't know if you'd say it's a supernatural way, but let me put it this way. I have clairvoyance. I can predict the future, and I have proof. Check this out. This is an essay I wrote in August of 2015, if that can be believed. I think what had just gone down was the very, very beginning of the SJW invasion of comic books. Because I don't know if some of you remember, like, those very, very early salvos that were fired, like against Frank Cho, for instance. That Spider-Woman cover that he did. And, other creators were like, openly threatening him, physically threatening him. And, it was the industry, the medium as a whole in America came to a crossroads. where it had to decide, well, what was it going to do with Twitter and these Twitter lynch mobs and these SJWs who weren't part of the fandom, I will remind you, were not part of the fandom, but invaded it because they were like, after Avengers came out, they were like, oh, geez, oh, comic books. Oh, that's a thing. Oh, well, like, how are we going to take over? How are we going to take over the movies? Because we have to take over the movies. Well, we take over the movies by taking over the comics, and that's exactly what they did. Anyway, I started writing this essay thinking that maybe I was going to, I don't know where I was thinking this was going to be published, which is why I stopped working on it. That's the thing. This thing is that I found. It's not a full thing. It's a fragment, which is to say, it's in its raw form here. And the reason I'm showing it to you in its raw form, even though it may embarrass me somewhat, just the shoddy craftsmanship of it. It's an unfinished work. I'm leaving it unmolested because, as I said, I seem to, call me Nostradamus, okay? I called this shit, and it blows my mind. Well, here's the article. I'm not going to read the whole thing because that'll probably just bore the fuck out of you. I might include it in the description if you're curious. Anyway, but at least let's take a look at this. It's called The New Censorship, an open letter to comic writers and artists. And then the quote from Oscar Wilde, there is no such thing as a moral or an immoral book. Books are well written or badly written. That is all. And the article begins, a number of artists and writers have recently found themselves pilloried for offending the delicate sensibilities of a group of online activists commonly referred to as social justice warriors. I should have put it pejoratively there. Recent controversies such as Rick Remender's Uncanny Avengers #5, Milo Manara's Spider-Woman #1. Oh, okay. I thought it was... I'm getting my artists mixed up. It was the Frank Cho Spider-Gwen controversy. That's what he got fucking crucified over a satire of the offending Manara cover, and hashtag change the cover have creators second-guessing every word they write, every line they draw. What was once a wide-open playground for creative people has become a stifling, claustrophobic environment. You got to hand it to them. It's a formidable achievement. A small group of very vocal people who are experts at artificially inflating their numbers, kind of like the Tea Party. Yeah, that also dates this article, doesn't it? And manufacturing outrage have an entire industry shaking in its collective boots. The specter of censorship has loomed over the medium this ominously. The specter of censorship hasn't loomed over the medium this ominously since the days of Frederick Wertham and seduction of the innocent. How do we reach this point? Who are these people? Who are these people? What, I was writing like fucking Seinfeld here? This digital culture war vigilante mob who have made it their mission to police all forms of media and pop culture to ensure that it conforms with their rigid, oddly puritanical social platform. Then I quoted David Cronenberg, censors tend to do what only psychotics do. They confuse reality with illusion. The site Know Your Meme defines social justice warrior. I think I'm going to go through most of this stuff because that's not like the awesome, like clairvoyant part. I go off a little bit about the new left. I make no I don't hide the fact that I'm a lefty. I'm a major lefty. In fact, I'm way to the left of any Democrat that you know. I'm a registered member of the Green Party. I consider myself a democratic socialist. So, I'm a lefty for sure. More, I guess, what people might call a classical liberal. I don't recognize these motherfuckers. No, I'm sorry. I do recognize these motherfuckers. I recognize these motherfuckers from the late 80s and early 90s. Because I went to college with them. This was at the height of political correctness, where I, as a English lit major, when I mentioned the fact that I had read Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho, had all of these heads, every head in the classroom, including the teachers, just turned and gave me this withering look like, like I was pond scum. Because if you didn't know, there was an effort by the left at that time to censor American Psycho, which was then turned into a successful movie. And the book was vindicated as a masterpiece, eventually. But this is when, you were a shady character if you were caught reading that sort of thing. Kind of like Tropic of Cancer or Ulysses back in ye olden days. We live in the era of trigger warnings and microaggressions. Oh, yeah, I quote Ray Bradbury, what he said in Fahrenheit 451. Colored people don't like Little Black Sambo. Burn it. White people don't feel good about Uncle Tom's Cabin. Burn it. Someone's written a book on tobacco and cancer of the lungs. Cigarette people are weeping. Burn the book. Serenity, Montag. Peace, Montag. Take your fight outside. Better yet, into the incinerator. I go into a little bit of blah, 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 Fahrenheit 451, which was inspired, by the way, by an incident that occurred at a university in California, around where Ray Bradbury lives. He wrote a play for a local college, and it was about astronauts, I think, on a spaceship or like a rocket ship, and the university feminists got together and banned the play successfully because there weren't any women in it. And Ray Bradbury, not exactly a right-wing kind of guy, saw the writing on the wall that because in the 80s, you have to keep in mind all the censorship efforts were coming from the right. It was the era of Reagan, or Stalin, as I like to call him. Fuck that guy. When you had Ed Meese and the God, what the hell was that called? It was the Meese Commission report on pornography. It was really crazy because basically smut was like, the most popular things in sliced bread. A VCR was in everybody's home, and the VCR was created as a machine, a device that would allow you to watch pornography in the comfort of your own home. That's just the truth. Okay. I remember the early days of VHS. That's exactly what it was about. And so a bunch of Republicans got pissed off and wanted to take, this stuff away. God forbid you should have a boner, right? Or, or a moisty if you're the female persuasion. God forbid you should be sexually stimulated by, images of people fornicating. But yeah, it was all coming from the right, and they were attacking the National Endowment on the Arts, which is completely fucking ridiculous because the government spent more money on fucking military drummers, like military bands, than like the entire NEA budget. That was like a bullshit straw man thing that they tried doing. Anyway, I eventually, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can see this thing needed some editing. Oh, yeah, but here I mentioned the fact that as artists, we have to be free to take chances and most of all to take risks and make mistakes. SJWs, of course, they don't understand this shit. They're very literal-minded, and I don't know if I mentioned it in here, but they don't trust art. They are very, I would say Americans in general don't trust art. We are a people that are very suspicious of the power of books and comic books and music and film to inspire and to move, and in some cases to motivate. And so we can understand why there are efforts, both from the right and now from the left, to seize control of art, what you see, what you hear, what you think most of all. Right. And oh, yeah, here I mention, writers like Denny O'Neil, Don McGregor, Chris Claremont might have dropped the ball sometimes when it came to their representations of women and people of color. But there's no denying they had their hearts in the right place and were trying to give us more thoughtful stories, a more culturally diverse cast of characters, and better comics overall. Right. What would comics be like today if these guys weren't allowed to learn from their mistakes? And let's see, geek culture, homogenization, blah, 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 George Bernard Shaw. Censorship ends in logical completeness, and nobody is allowed to read any books except the books that nobody reads. That takes me back to the Meese Commission report on pornography, because I was thinking, well, what are they going to do with all this smut? Right? Bulldoze it into a landfill? Right? If they went house to house and just started collecting everybody's VHS smut and their stroke mags, because the softcore stuff would have to go, just like the hardcore stuff. Playboy and Penthouse and all that stuff. Well, they couldn't burn it, right? Because that would be a little too openly fascistic, right? Like an actual, book burning. And gee, would they put it into a landfill? I don't think so. I think Ed Meese was a dirty old pervert, and that way he was hoping was that they would get all the porn, put it into like this triple X rated Fort Knox. And then he would be the only one with the key. He'd be spending a lot of time in there, let me tell you. Okay, so all right, here we get to the meat and the potatoes, and what kind of bugged me out when I saw this. So what do we do about this sticky situation we find ourselves in? Sticky situations. So just talking about porn. As I see it, we have a few choices when it comes to dealing with the new Werthams. First thing I suggest here, bring back the Comics Code Authority. This would be a revamped version of the regulatory body formed in 1954 by the Comics Magazine Association of America as an alternative to government regulation. Like the movie industry created the MPAA so the industry could police itself to avoid government intervention, the Comics Code Board would consist of high-status SJWs. Elections would be held on Twitter, of course, whose job it would be to go over comics at the script and penciling stages and give them a thorough examination. Board members would take notes and send a list of changes to the publishers, which would in turn be forwarded to the writers and artists. This would become just another stage in the creation process. This might be accompanied by a list of do's and don'ts, similar to old Hollywood's Hays Code, to keep objectionable material from being produced in the first place. After all, this is what SJWs ultimately want, to become a part of the creative process. Let's give it to them. If objectionable material is produced, they will only have themselves to blame for allowing it to slip through the filter. I made this suggestion very sarcastically. I mean, if you can't tell from the language here, I'm being sarcastic as fuck. I do not really... This is not a real suggestion. But holy shit, the motherfuckers actually went and did exactly that. I mean, it's not official, They haven't brought back the Comics Code Authority, but, they, I mean, where does Marvel and DC, and fucking, I'm assuming the major independents too, where do they get their writers from? They get them from Twitter. Where do they get their artists from? They get them from Tumblr. Have you seen what contemporary comic books look like these days? They're hot fucking garbage. Hot fucking garbage. I mean, just toilet paper. I mean, to the point, it's just, let's face it, the comic books are just promotional items for the movies, and the TV shows and the video games and the Funko Pop bobbleheads. God damn, I hate those fucking things. I'm not saying you're a fake geek if you have them, but all I'm saying is every fake geek has got like a ton of those fucking things. So my next suggestion was the practical one, my real suggestion. Ignore them. The new Worthams will never be satisfied. It will never be enough. Like a teenage girl searching her boyfriend's diary for dirt, they will always find something, whether it is there or not. The Walking Dead TV series gets a more ethnically diverse cast. But boy, hold on a sec. Let me wet my whistle here for a second if I'm going to read this shit out loud. This is my streaming fuel right here. It's a Lapsa Souchong tea. Very tasty, smoky aroma and flavor. And yeah, I'm ADD as fuck. And so this kind of helps me focus. Okay, so as I was saying, the Walking Dead TV series gets a more ethnically diverse cast. Okay, but why don't any of the women openly display armpit hair? And then I provided the link to a very poker-faced, this is when the line between reality and satire began to blur. Now it's been blasted to fuck, okay? It's been nuked from orbit. You can't tell the difference anymore, whether they're being serious or not. What do I suggest here? Yeah. These people are bullies. And we all know the only way to deal with bullies is to stand up to them. Bullies only have as much power as you give them. Appeasement is not only going to help. Appeasement is not only not going to help, it has already made things demonstrably worse. You can ask Joss Whedon about that. In fact, I think divesting from Twitter entirely would be an excellent start, as it's the place where SJWs draw most of their power. Holy shit. Boy, did that get worse. Yeah, this was like right when this crap was starting, man. Right at the beginning of this bullshit. Wow. This is, I don't, if you like this video, like, smash the subscribe button. But if I'm boring the fuck out of you, feel free to tune out. I am kind of a little surprised. Oh, and then my third suggestion, which would be to find some kind of happy medium. The industry might consider a policy of telling the SJW community, we're listening to you, but please don't tell us how to do our jobs. After all, just because they're intellectual lightweights doesn't mean they might not have some valid points. But let's not allow them to bully us into making the kinds of comics that they personally want to see, because in the end, no one will want to read them. Least of all the people who lobbied and destroyed lives and careers of artists to see them made. Damn, son. I swear. Yeah, no, this is August. August of 2015. That's crazy. Oh, and then, of course, I had that great quote from Voltaire. I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to death your right to say it. I really wish that was on a plaque everywhere. I wish there were signs that said that, I wish there was many signs that said that as there were stop signs. It's something that, it's so basic. But I don't know. Basic bitches seem to have a real problem grasping onto this one. And all y'all who are on the right that are bitching about these motherfuckers, don't forget you were the ones that were calling for censorship in the 80s, okay? Some people forget that shit. I don't. You shouldn't forget it either. We should all agree to disagree. Just because we have different political beliefs, geez, we're talking about American politics here, motherfuckers. It's not, You know, it's taking American politics as seriously as some people do, as a lot of people do right now. It's like taking wrestling seriously. You know, I am a NWO Hollywood Hogan man. Now I realize there are some lost souls out there that are all about the red and the yellow. Okay, Hulk Hogan. I'm a Hollywood guy. You might be a Hulk Hogan guy. You're wrong. I mean, Hollywood Hulk is clearly 1,000 times more awesome than fucking puny Hulk Hogan, but we could still be friends, you know? And to me, that's part of what I love about this community that I find myself in, is that we can disagree about certain things, but certain things we agree on. The main one being censorship is bullshit. And not only is it bullshit, it's harmful. It's harmful not just to the livelihoods of artists. It is also dangerous to the society, quite frankly. You know, I have friends from England who are like, well, you know, they'd hear Trump saying something and they'd be like, but that's hate speech. And I'd be like, oh, what, call it like saying Mexicans are all rapists? Yeah, it is. But guess what? That's protected speech. I don't like it, right? But that's the whole thing about the First Amendment, is that you're going to have to hear some shit that you don't like. And we should all be willing to accept that. You know, that's a price that I pay. You know? Obviously, shit has gotten way more fucked up than it was when I wrote this. Here, let me pontificate some more. As an artist, all I can do in my work is say what I feel like I have to say, and not everybody is going to get the same message. That's something I really believe in as a writer, that you shouldn't... I don't like when writers explain their work. I've always liked guys like David Lynch and David Cronenberg, when people ask them, what does that represent? They're, I don't know, right? And that's not to say that we may not put themes into our work. I know I put a lot of shit into my storytelling. So, you know, I don't mean just, you know, I don't mean, sometimes political shit too, right? But if there is political shit in there, it's the subtext. What SJWs have done is they flipped it so that the subtext is the text. So if you watch something like Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes, I remember watching that as a kid and thinking, oh, this is a cool science fiction adventure. And then I watched it as a teenager and I was like, holy shit, this is about racism. And that's exactly what Planet of the Apes is about. That's exactly what Pierre Boulle's novel was about. The novel is more openly satirical, whereas Planet of the Apes is played mostly straight. And, you know, I'm always a big believer that sort of a thing is always more fun if you play it straight. But then you take the risk of being misunderstood. But once again, you know, we have to be willing to take chances. I mean, most people were baffled when they saw Brian De Palma's Scarface remake for the first time. I got the joke immediately. My brother, I remember, we were watching that movie. We were dying. Thought it was like the funniest thing ever. But a lot of the humor in that went right over critics' heads, and they took shit a little too literally. Now everybody can watch that movie and bust a gut. But there was a time where not everybody was, you know, that aware of when artists are taking the piss, as my UK friends would say. That is one of the, okay, back to me yapping. That is one of the fundamental aspects of art, especially great art. It is open to interpretation. You and I can walk away from the same work and have completely different interpretations of it. Because my opinion is different than yours doesn't make me a bad person. Once again, that's something I'm a very strong believer in. Don't trust the teller, trust the tale. if somebody creates a work of art and they tell you it's about one thing, it actually really might be about something else, and they may not even be aware of it. But it has to. We can't objectively create objective criteria for something as subjective as art, and of course, that's exactly what's being done these days. Personally, I'm of the belief that the only rational course of action for the creative community is for us to unite and step forward as a group. Right now, social justice warriors enjoy so much power that they can crush us as individuals. But as an organized group dedicated to resisting censorship, we would be unstoppable. Think it over, my peers, because the next artist to be sacrificed on the altar of social justice could be you. I kind of feel like I predicted Comicsgate. Look, it's right there, mofos. Personally, I'm of the belief that the only rational course of action is for us to unite and step forward as a group. So you know what? The comic publishers fucked up and sort of did what I was jokingly suggesting they were going to do, but then, boy, a bunch of people that aren't down with the program have united and created something special. And let's see. Yeah, there's a quote from James Howe. Banning books is just another form of bullying. It's all about fear and an assumption of power. The key is to address the fear and deny the power. Earth to Kevin Feige. Earth to Kevin Feige. Oh no, fuck that shit, man. I am like so over the fucking MCU. It's not even like I'm like hating on it anymore. Even it's just like I'm just like completely disinterested. You know, I haven't seen the Eternals movie, so I should basically shut up and not express an opinion about something I haven't seen. But everybody seems to be saying that it is hot garbage. Shang-Chi certainly looks like hot garbage. I have zero interest in watching that. I was a big Shang-Chi fan as a kid. I was a big Eternals fan. But you know, I mean, fuck, man. They're just like, they're taking a big old dump all over our childhood favorites or childhood heroes. They are not, to borrow a phrase from Denny O'Neil, they are not responsible custodians of folklore. Quite the opposite. They're more like vandals, really. You know, it's like they're rampaging through a museum and just spray painting on everything. It's just, you know, it's boy, man, they've done a lot of damage. And here are just like some notes. These would be things I would take and move around. Like I said, this was never finished. And the reason I never finished this was because at a certain point I thought, who's going to publish this? At that time, nobody. Now, of course, we've got Bleeding Cool. We got Bounding into Comics. Much love to those fellas. They're doing a great job. But wow. All right. I guess I'm gonna cut this short. But it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that what I was jokingly suggesting the comic industry do back in 2015. I mean, can that be right? That's what it says on the file, that it's from. Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. It's very, very peculiar. But hey, you know, we live in very peculiar times, and I'm a very peculiar guy. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you folks. Maybe I'll put a link in the video. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm feeling kind of lazy today. I got to get some work done. Everybody, definitely go check out the new Six Gun Gorilla campaign, or as Wenger would say, Six Gun Gorilla. That's not a dig at Wenger, by the way. You know, I love that dude, but he's he's a definite character. Haven't seen him for a while. Let's see if I can actually manage to do this. I'm new to streaming. What do you want? What do you want from me? These aren't. You don't turn into one of these streams expecting something slick and professional. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, man. This is a little peek, a little teaser for Six Gun Gorilla Cemetery Without Crosses, which is the 8th issue in the ongoing critically acclaimed series. Go check it out. It's on Indiegogo. I also let's see. This is some of my ghetto lettering. This is like my favorite part of the comic making process. This is when I get the art back. Beautiful pencils by Preston the Goat Acevedo. I used to call him Preston Exit Only Acevedo because another Preston. Until Sim called me out and was just like, dude, it's over. I'm like, what? It's like, it's done. It's like, it's just not funny anymore. So I dropped it. I was like, oh, really? Okay. That's some appropriate changes. But yeah, now Preston's the GOAT. When he turns in beautiful pages like these, and these are all pencils, by the way. We agreed that that's how he was going to do this, because I love a hand-drawn style. And he's happy to do that. So he's sort of inking, quote unquote, with his pencils. And I couldn't be happier with the result. And then, of course, Ollie from 656, just killing it with these beautiful colors, doing an awesome job. But this is the part where I get to do what I call my ghetto lettering. I create like little bubbles of word balloons in GIMP, and I play around with sound effects. Here's a note too, for instance. This is a secret entrance that the villain, Chillblaine, is opening with a piano key, right? There's supposed to be a door that's going like that. Or actually, no, it's to the side, and you do see it, but there needs to be like a motion blur or a sound effect. See, I had it going up, but that's because I'm an idiot. I didn't see that it was actually coming out the side there. But yeah, I love this part, because what I'll do is I won't even go back to my script. And I wrote the script for this like 3-4 years ago. Yeah, because I wrote all the Six Gun Gorilla scripts, all 10 issues of the series in succession, because for me it was an act of faith. Hold on a second, I gotta blow my nose with my snot rag. I have a deviated septum, by the way, so if you ever hear me going during a stream, don't think that I'm like snorting unhealthy things. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll work just from the illustrations, because there are things in the artwork, and this is the way it worked with Adrian. And this is the way it's working with Preston. I'm super lucky to have worked with an artist like Adrian, God rest his soul, and super lucky to be working with a guy like Preston. Like I said, he is the GOAT without a doubt. Love that dude. And when you have artists that are doing right by your script and doing right by your characters and everything like that, it's it's a joy to see. But now I'm getting all mushy, aren't I? And that's not cool. I think there was one little thing I wanted to just still share with you. I think that was, let me see. Is it the Six Gun Gorilla? Is it the Six Gun Gorilla campaign? Yeah. Anyway, I'll have a link to that in the description, or go check it out on my Twitter or something. Yeah, very, very, very freaky. Very, very freaky thing with that essay I found. Anyway, hope you're all doing well. I need to get my ass back to work, back to my ghetto lettering, and putting out a comic book. The book's on page 19 right now, so Preston's going to be going into the home stretch, and once I fulfill, hopefully those numbers will go up. I'm at 11K now, but last campaign was like 20K. I should be doing better than that. But then again, there's return customers and that sort of a thing, and people are always more likely to back your campaign if your book is finished. And this is the first time I've actually launched a campaign without a book already finished, so it's to be expected. But anyway, folks, hope you have a great evening. Hope you're doing well. I do mean that. I try to be a benevolent soul, and you should too. Like Vinny says, everybody be kind to each other, and like Ringo always says, peace and love, peace and love. Police Squad.